I'm both a dreamer and a doer. I really never care too much for consequences. I don't get intimidated by positions or situations. I feel that if you come into this world, you must achieve whatever you have dreamt. My dream is to see a thriving India. My dream is to see that don't talk of helping poor, help poor.
Namaskar, hello and welcome viewers. You're watching the flagship program of Sansad TV, your MP with your host Kriti. And joining us today is a very special guest, member of the Upper House of Parliament, Mr. Vivek Tankha. Sir, welcome to Sansad TV and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Sir, let's begin talking about the achievements of your life. We know you've been the Advocate General, Additional Solicitor General, a very noted voice in the country as far as the legal field is concerned, second-time Member of Parliament. How did your political journey begin?
I would say to some extent it was designed and to some extent it was an accident. I was essentially a professional. I enjoy my profession even today. I'm fond of talented. I like good speeches. I like people who can influence minds. So in a sense, I love my profession. So when I saw things in the Parliament, I thought that maybe yes, this is a place. If I reach there, I'll be in a position to contribute because both in terms of law, because it's essentially a lawmaking body, and also in terms of administration, because somewhere I carry with me a lot of administrative experience, and then I got an opportunity to come to Rajya Sabha.
That's right. So, sir, let's go back to Jabalpur, the place where you hail from. We're also aware that you're involved in a lot of social activities. Take us through these activities and what motivates you for them?
First 16 years of my life, from say 1980 to 1996, there was practically no social activity. With my back to the wall, because I had lost my father in 1978. He was a judge of the High Court, and he could have travelled far. And he was very young, he was 51 years old. So I came back after his death into practice. So I wanted to excel at a very young age and to settle my family. I had a young mother, a younger brother, and a sister who had just been married. So I was like the head of the family at 21. So for me, there was no Holi, there was no Diwali. I was reading, working all the time. And things also happened in that way. In about 5 years' time, I was a recognized lawyer in Madhya Pradesh, and that was old Madhya Pradesh, undivided. In about 10 years' time, I was one of the leading lawyers. In 12 years' time, the first time when there was President's rule, I was offered the post of Advocate General of undivided Madhya Pradesh when I was about 34 years old. And then they realized that I'm too young. So I've had a very mixed journey. Started in a tight situation, but progressed very fast. In the 2000 edition of the India Today, there was a joke which was captured by India Today that in the Madhya Pradesh Bar Association, there's a joke that MRTP law should be applied on Vivek Tankha. I mean, the kind of volume of briefs I would have, the volume of juniors I had, was something which was quite unusual for those times. So I enjoyed my practice. I worked for all kinds of causes. I was also, at a very young age, I was active with PUCL, with Justice Tarkunde. We hosted the National Convention of PUCL in Jabalpur in 1982. So I was a rebel, a kind of anti-establishment, always in my mind.
Okay.
And then that is why as an Advocate General, from 2002 to 2006, 2004, as an Advocate General with Shiv Khera, I led a movement called Country First, where we had these huge public meetings across Central India, North India. 30, 40, 50,000 people would come, and we would talk of change.
Sir, I'm so sure that the MRTP Act wasn't applied to you. on a lighter vein, but moving on, sir. Your association with the Congress party, when did it begin?
It's as old as I can remember. My in-laws, first of all, my father was from Allahabad. He's born and brought up Allahabad. So whether it was the Kardjus or the Saprus, and to some extent the Nehrus, he seemed to know all the families. I'm talking of my father. And especially Kardjus. We are very close to Kardjus. They are related to us. Then we came to Madhya Pradesh. He was one of the leading lawyers of Madhya Pradesh. And in those days, there was no other political party except for Congress. I'm talking of 60s and 70s. So all their matters would also come to him. I'm talking of my dad. So that is why when I graduated into practice, and by this time, my father-in-law, Colonel Ajay Mushran, who would also become a senior minister in Madhya Pradesh, so I became a natural choice for the entire Congress party as a lawyer in the 80s and the 90s. अगर आपको अच्छा वकील फ्री में मिल जाए तो इसमें किसको प्रॉब्लम है?
That's true. That's true. Acha Vakil, you said, and then of course we understand that this is the second term. First term, getting into Rajya Sabha, how was it?
I found it very comforting and easy. सबसे पहले तो I knew a lot of people from before. So it's not as if I was coming into a new area. A lot of them were my friends from before.
That's true.
Even on the BJP side. I mean, many of them had worked with me in Supreme Court and High Courts. So it was not difficult for me to adjust. I started speaking from my very first month.
Yeah.
I got a lot of speaking opportunities. They would give me opportunities, and I love speaking. I would prepare my speeches, and I think it went well. People of India, the legal community, and the business community. I have no reason to oppose any of the provisions which have been proposed, and especially the change of name, because an arbitration center for India cannot be just named as New Delhi International Arbitration Center. It has to be India's arbitration center.
But moving on and talking about your parliamentary contribution, as a second term MP, how do you assess your parliamentary contribution in terms of raising the voices of the people, raising the issues that matter to people?
I was able to speak on so many bills, not one, but so many bills. Whenever I spoke, it was never rhetoric. I don't believe in wasting time on speeches unless what I say has some gravity in it. So I do my research. I put only valid points. I'm not here to make a fool of myself. And I'm very sure that if you are a parliamentarian, it's your duty to contribute to the parliament. Now, coming to the bill, I have 4 points, one by one, and an ancillary point, which ancillary point is about the budget. The first point I start with is about the statement and objects and of reasons about, talks about the safety audit conducted by the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is a United Nations specialized agency. And in 2012 and 15, in October 15, India's safety score was 89%. Please note that. It was 89% in 2015. However, I must mention that the recent audit by ICAO in November 2017 and in February 2018, the audit result shows that India score declined to 57.44%. Because your job is to contribute in lawmaking. And you should tell the minister or the government, if you're in the opposition, what are those good points which you can incorporate in a law so that the law becomes more purposeful? Because of my experience and my interest both, I'm able to contribute in that sense. And I have found all ministers responding well to my suggestions after the speech. Let me start with section 43. सेक्शन 43 इज द सेक्शन जिसमें सबसे ज्यादा विवाद है इस वक्त. This is the section, sir, in which you permit the transfer and transportation of elephants. ये हमारे गणेश जी हैं और गणेश जी का ट्रांसफर और ट्रांसपोर्टेशन आपको अगर करना है तो उसके लिए आपको बहुत केयरफुल होना पड़ेगा. प्रॉब्लम अरोज बिकॉज जो एक्ट इन्होंने प्रोवाइजो लाए हैं, जो प्रोवाइजो सेक्शन 43 पे प्रपोज्ड है, इट सेज this can be done. ये elephant transportation and transfer can be done for religious, वो तो ठीक है, or for any other purpose. और any other purpose section 63 में ये कहते हैं कि हम rules के through deal करेंगे. The problem which is going to arise is अगर आपने इसको, इस proviso को इतना weak छोड़ा और इतना indeterminate छोड़ा, तो this is going to cause problem in the times ahead.
Yes, particularly I remember that Finance Minister, when you brought this to her notice about one of the rare diseases.
Yeah, she has noticed and been very kind to me in many of my speeches.
That's right.
Though I was always critical of her, but always critical in a polite way.
That's
and especially when you're addressing a lady, you have to be more polite.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely agree with you on that one. But, sir, in terms of the committees, now committees are a very important and integral part of Parliament. You've been part of several committees. More recently, part of Committee on Law and Justice and Personal Grievances. How do you see your participation there?
I'm a very active participant in all my committee meetings. And I'm also very friendly with all my committee members, cutting across party lines. Because in committee, you don't sit as a party member.
That's right.
You sit as a parliamentarian, as somebody who's going to contribute. And we all contribute to what the agenda is before us. I've had excellent relations with all my chairmen. Sushil Modi ji is my present chairman. We have excellent relations. I had Bhupinder Yadav ji, who was my colleague at the bar when I come. And they always were very gracious. And whoever was the committee chair, whether it is the JPC, whether it is a consultative committee, I've always found a lot of grace of the chairmen towards me.
That's true, sir. Again, I'll shift the gear towards your personal life. So we are aware of a lot of social activities. Again, I'd like to bring to the notice of our viewers about the school for special children. What motivates you to get into such activities? Because I know that you've been doing it on a phenomenal scale.
I had a chance to become a judge very early in life. In fact, my High Court was very keen. Even the then Chief Justice of India, at one stage when I had said no to becoming a judge, said, "We refuse to take your no." But the point is, I didn't become a judge not because I felt there's anything less important about being a judge. It's a very honorable position, and you can make a mark in the country through your judgments. But I, by temperament, am more egregious. I like meeting people. I like doing things in public weal. Now, that's the opportunity I got. I thought, like, as the president of Rotary, I should do things which will be remembered and carried on for a long time. So I started this mission of special children. We started the first school for special children in Jabalpur, Justice Tankha Memorial Rotary School for Special Children. It still has about 250 children. And I have 4 or 5 other schools by the same name, all run by civil society and Rotary in Bilaspur, in Mandala, in Gwalior, in Bhopal, and a couple of more places. And I have lots of offers from people from the civil society to open more schools. But as I said, time is limited. You can't do everything at the same time. But more important, we also set up blood banks. We have set up blood banks for the poor in public hospitals for the poor. We did that in Jabalpur, Mandala, Chhindwara, Narsinghpur, Shahdol, where I would request corporates to contribute. The state would also contribute, and we would have an understanding with the state governments that nobody who's poor and who needs blood should be denied blood because he doesn't have money.
Absolutely, sir. Very, very important, sir. So before we end this conversation, let's talk about your goals and aspirations going ahead as a member parliament? And personally, of course, as far as your philanthropic activities are concerned.
Kriti ji, let me tell you, I'm both a dreamer and a doer. I really never care too much for consequences. I don't get intimidated by positions or situations. I feel that if you come into this world, you must achieve whatever you have dreamt. My dream is to see a thriving India. My dream is to see that don't talk of helping poor, help poor. And that is why I do these medical missions for the last 20 years. In these medical missions, something like 1 lakh patients, tribal patients and poor patients come. We have 700-800 doctors. I get madad from Dr. Trehan to Dr. Guleria to everybody in India. And they all help me in these tribal medical missions. So as I said, while my profession thrives, I use this power to help the poor. My motto is that, and this is my belief, that if you are successful in life, and if you don't share your success, the success will not stay with you. So my dream is I should keep doing well, but use that influence, that power, those resources for the poor. जो मैं आज बोल रहा हूँ, this is a very painful thing. इस देश में there is a disease called muscular disease, spinal muscular disease, जिसमें जो बच्चे होते हैं from the time they are born up to 2 years, they have all kinds of movement disorders. बात बहुत लंबी है, but short में मैं कह सकता हूँ कि उसका एक ही drug है, that is manufactured in US, and that drug costs 16 crores. And वही एक ड्रग है उस बच्चों को बचा सकता है और 2,500 बच्चे इस देश में हर साल पैदा होते हैं who have some degree of disorder.
What is your message to all the budding lawyers or look up to?
Message to the budding lawyers is be the change maker. This is the most powerful profession you can come into. There's nobody who writes your CR. There's nobody who fixes your pay band. There's no pay commission. And there's nobody who can control you and shut you up. Your own ability, your own proficiency, and your own skills of communication will make you good or bad. So work hard, do well, and become good citizens of this country.
And also there's no bar on how much you can earn.
That's what I'm saying. That
Yes,
unless there's no pay band.
That's true.
So, but then, if you earn well, use your resources also for the poor.
Absolutely. It is always best to give back to the society. But Mr. Tankha, you joined us, you shared your political, your parliamentary experiences, and of course the facets of your personal life. Thank you so much for talking to Sansad.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Pleasure having you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, viewers, that's all we had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Goodbye for now from my side.